Hi, my name is Denise Wells, and the purpose of this instructional video is to help users get started using Microsoft PowerPoint to create a presentation. And what we're going to do is just kind of walk step by step through those introductory pieces that are key to making sure that your Microsoft PowerPoint is standard in its development, as well as it's going to get across the key points that you're trying to relay to an audience. So the first thing you want to do is start off with a blank PowerPoint screen. Once you've created that atmosphere, you'll see that there is the ability to, by default, click to add a title and click to add a subtitle. And that's a really neat start, but then also available to you are going to be different options for laying out your screen. If you're looking to the side, right side of the screen, you'll see that there are different layouts included in what's called your task pane. If for some reason this task pane were not available to you, think of it as a viewing issue, and you'd click on the view menu in the menu bar. You would choose toolbars and you would choose task pane. So if this particular pane were not available to you, again, you would choose view, toolbars, and then the task pane in order to make it appear. From the task pane, you can choose several different content layouts that include the ability to add charts and graphs or photos. There's the ability to have a blank page where you're able to completely craft what you want that to look like. There are text layouts like the one that we were defaulted to, or with just having a title at the top, having a title with bullets, having a title with bullets with columns. All of these options are available to you, and if you scroll down a little further, beyond the text and content layouts, you have combination layouts as well, including text along with media files like the charts and graphs and photos we talked about before, and just different ways to load in the kind or pre-design how you'll load in what you'd like to have in PowerPoint, and just kind of make a decision about how you want to set up your pages. I always default to a regular title with the ability to have bullet points because that's the standard look that we're used to in Microsoft PowerPoint. Once you've chosen that for slide layout, you can then click the drop down button also in the task pane and now go to a default design for your slides. And this is where you're going to actually add color and background and give more character to the presentation. I would suggest that you stay away from really dark or heavy colors, or basically know your audience and know what they're looking for, and make sure that it's not too casual if it's a more rigorous setting that you're going to be in, and that it's not too rigorous if you're going to be in a casual setting. And so pick something that's really neat but that also addresses the audience appropriately. So I'm going to default to the capsules design template for the slides that we're going to create to get started. And the title I'm going to type in is My Presentation. And I'm going to then type in Getting Started as my first bullet. Moving to the next page of your presentation is really easy. Insert is going to add the next page, and you can either do insert a new slide or insert a duplicate slide, depending on whether you want the next slide to look exactly like the slide that you're working on, or whether you want it to be completely new. Clicking New Slide is going to give you the ability to then type and give it a new look and feel for what's going to be on the next page. Inserting a duplicate slide, on the other hand, will give you the ability to add the exact same text to the next slide for you to then maybe type over and begin. If you were working, I would say, in a series of slides that have the same basic information and maybe one line or two lines were changed, I would then do duplicate slide. However, if the information on the following slide needs to be completely different, then I would do insert new slide and move from there. So that's basically a quick 1, 2, 3 for getting the slides set up. Once you've got your slides set up and you know what you want them to say, then you can go back after you've created the presentation and then add other features like adding animation. Animation is always found under the slideshow menu. So for instance, if I wanted this area where I have my presentation to not just appear on the screen but maybe to fly in some way, then I can go to slideshow and choose custom animation, and then my task pane changes to allow me to give some effect to the information that I've typed on my presentation. And so I would simply click add effect. I would then add an entrance, and then there are a default of 5 to choose from, but I can click more effects and have quite a few things to choose from for the type of effect that I could give to that wording. And just by clicking on it, I get a preview of what it would look like if I chose any of these. And so it takes me from having just plain text to text that actually kind of comes in a little more interesting kind of way. Again, I would warn that you would need to know your audience and make sure that you're putting in information in a way that matched the audience and that would reflect the correct kind of rapport that you would need to have with them. And so with that in mind, I'm going to choose checkerboard. If you're working along with me, you can choose either of these effects to give to your information. Once you've made your selection, you can say OK. And you'll notice that you can then modify and decide how this would happen in the presentation, and you'll see that a number 1 has been placed next to the text box where the action setting has been placed. You can choose to have the effect take place as you click, or with the previous slide, or after the previous action setting that you've chosen. You can choose the direction you want the checkerboards to go in, and you can choose also the speed. You can also choose to have animation between one slide and the next. Doing so would also happen in the slideshow menu under slide transition this time, and that just kind of denotes how you move from one slide to the other. And there are several, again, different ways to move from one slide to the next, but what I always do, what seems to work best for me, is just a random transition, so that as I move from slide to slide, I kind of let Microsoft PowerPoint decide how that transition will occur. If you wanted to add sound, you would be able to do so. For instance, giving applause, and you can modify how fast or how slow the sound is. But also, again, if you're using sound, you want to make sure that it's appropriate to the audience that you're creating this particular slide for. And you can choose whether you want the mouse to be the determiner of how you move from one slide to the next, or if you were recording this for a presentation, say maybe in a kiosk, or where it would run on its own, or maybe you've recorded your voice and want it to play over, then you can choose to have the slides automatically advance after a certain amount of time. But that again would have to be done very strategically, and you'd have to know for sure that it would be able to run in the amount of time that's been specified. I would not suggest that you use automatically moving from one slide to the next if you are verbally narrating at the time that the presentation is being made, because if you're a little windy, or if there's a question that happens and your slide keeps moving and you're not quite ready to move, that could cause a little confusion and mishap and hiccup with your presentation. So again, I would only use that automatically moving forward option if it's in an isolated presentation setting like a kiosk, or where it's running just as a video for others to view and you can control the time parameters. Alright, and after you've made those selections, you can then view your slide by clicking Slideshow and to View Show, and you'll see that everything that you created is then present